This is an SM Media production. Hi everyone and welcome to this week's episode of the Scottish Football Show right here on SM Media. I'm Scott McPike, your host as always. Pleasure to be here again. Joined this week by Shankers. Shankers, welcome back. How are we?
Hello Scott, I'm good, fine, yourself?
Very good mate, very good. We're joined this week by Andy Rodgers, former Ayr, East Stirling, Montrose, Dumbarton, Peterhead, just some of the clubs you played with, Andy. It's a pleasure to have you on the show. Thanks very much for joining us.
Not a problem.
How are you, all right?
I'm good, mate. Aye, good. Wee bit sore after another game yesterday, but I'll be fine.
How's it been so far? How's it been getting back to football?
It's good that we're back playing. It was a long time before it, but the older you get, the harder it gets. And I don't think the 6 month foot done me any favours either, to be fair. So no, but it's good. Aye, it's gone all right.
What was kind of lockdown like? What was the memories for lockdown? The first lockdown. Never want to go through that again.
No, it wasn't ideal. I've got a lot of respect for folk who could have dealt with that better than me, because I didn't enjoy that.
No.
Did not enjoy it.
Yeah. Conspicuous by his absence is Mark Wilson. Now, me, Shankers and Wilson always talk before the show starts, so we always get a heads up of what's happening. We've just been informed by Wilson. Shankers will corroborate with me here. Start the show without me. I'm running late. I've been called somewhere. That's the message we got. What could that mean?
Man. God knows.
Now,
God knows what's happening.
Could be anything at all. All I've heard is that there's a few guardrails been thrown about and the name Wilson's been uttered many times at a certain place. But we'll start off with what's been happening over the weekend. Big results, obviously, in the League Cup. We'll start off with Alloa beat Hearts 1-0. Now, Shankers, me and you I think we've got a part to play in this year, because Alan Troughton scored the winning goal, right? And Alan Troughton was in the show, as we know, a couple of weeks ago, and I like to think that me and you motivated him to get that goal Saturday.
Marco did speak about it and say, it was a penalty, wasn't it?
Nah, he scored a penalty in extra time.
Aye, Marco did speak and say he was the best penalty taker that he's came across, so that can only go on that, and it's true. It's a big result for them. He said, when we asked him about the game, and he was saying, listen, we're in the same league as them, so of course we've got a chance, and they were probably massive underdogs going into that game, because Hearts are the expectancy that comes with Hearts. They should go and win that league, the players, the budget, etc. But just shows Alloa's a tough place to go, and if you can hang in there for as long as you can, you've always got a chance. And fair play to them. It's a massive result, and they've got a good tie against Hibs in the next one.
Definitely.
Them out as well.
Definitely, best of luck for them as well. Andy as well. Dunfermline beat Arbroath 3-1. Was that kind of the result you expected?
I expected. I hoped not so much, but definitely expected. And they've started really well, to be fair to them. They've had a right good start to the season. They look as though they've got a right good squad, and I don't think they'll be far away. Personally, hopefully they fall a wee bit short, but no, they might be up there.
Definitely. And well, Livingston beat Ayr 4-0. Now we just want to kind of talk quickly about this. Like, obviously during the week we get some news about Gary Holt had offered his resignation. I wanted to kind of get Wilson's input in this, but I'll just throw this at the both of you. I'll touch this with Wilson later on. But were you surprised when Gary Holt resigned? I'll start with you, Andy.
To be fair, I'm not really surprised with much that goes on at Livingston. I think it's a bit of a strange setup there, and I'm not convinced anybody really knows who's in charge at Livingston, if I'm being honest. I think Gary Holt, to be fair, anything I've heard, I know a couple of the boys at that Livy, I think he's a really good coach. I think the boys really liked him. And it was a strange one. They've not started great, but I don't think anybody expected it. As in, I felt his job was in danger, if you know what I mean. So it was a wee bit of a surprise, but as I say, it's a strange setup at Livingston, I think.
Nah, it's weird. And Shankers, like, as well, like, who do you see kind of replacing Gary Holt, and how big a job have they got?
Well, touching on Gary Holt, I think the first year that they come up, they done really well, and a club like Livingston, I think that's maybe kind of pushing for top six is probably the best you're going to get out of them. So he's maybe thought I can't really take them any further than I have. I don't think it merits. Well, obviously he's went in his own accord, so they weren't. It's not as if they weren't happy with the job that they had done, kind of thing. I'm not really sure what they'll go to. There's always a kind of circle of managers that go around a book kind of teams up there. I like to see them maybe go for something different. Give somebody that's maybe kind of just come out of playing a young manager, give them a shot and see what they've got, rather than just they got the circle of managers who have been in and out football for years, and they kind of with journeymen, as they say. But I don't know. It's a difficult one. They've got decent players, obviously, like Alan Forrest. They got a good result against the other. They've got decent players in forward areas, and I think they've got a good enough squad that will stay up. So I'd imagine it's a job that's out there somebody will want.
Definitely. We're just having another person joining us, so here we go. He's joining us right now. Let's find out what's happening here.
I've just seen that name on the screen.
Are you there? Testing. Hello?
Is he there?
Sorry, lads. Traffic was a bit busy coming back for the Gala game, so. Oh, that's me. I made it. Sorry for the delay, Scott. Apologies. Apologies, Mark and Andy. Sorry. I just made it back.
Right. Where have you been?
I was just out looking at the Christmas lights up the Gala gate up near Celtic Park and that. Just trying to get in the Christmas spirit and things. Really enjoyable experience.
Did you get through the guardrails all right, aye?
Well, I've actually got one in the boot of my car. You know, I'm needing a bit of fencing for the back garden, so I just left it. Everyone else was lifting them. I thought, why not? When in Rome.
You joined us actually a perfect time, because I want to touch on something quickly with you. Welcome to the show, Mark. Again, pleasure to have you. Gary Holt left during the week for Livingston. What's your kind of thoughts on that?
To be honest, going by results, I wasn't surprised when I actually seen the results. I always just kind of thought the last few games, I know they lost maybe 1-0, 2-1, etc. And then when I actually saw, obviously I was comparing these results to Neil Lennon's in the last 9 games, thinking that Gary's would be slightly better. They actually weren't, to be honest. And I can understand his reasoning, to be honest. And I remember him, you know, even when he used to say, you know, a manager's got a shelf life, you know, and I think he just kind of ran out of time at Livingston. And I think it's hard when you do reasonably well one season and you kind of drop back. But I genuinely don't think he'll be short of any offers, you know, maybe next season if once he takes a wee break from it.
Definitely. We'll just run down a few of the other results. Hibs beat Dundee 1-0. Jamie Murphy with a goal. St Johnstone come back for being behind against Motherwell to win 2-1. And it was a big shock as St Mirren beat Aberdeen 2-1 in the late game on Saturday. Today, Rangers won 4-0 against Falkirk. There was no surprise there when we thought that would happen. But
what was the score in that game? Sorry, I never saw that.
4-0. I knew you were starting traffic. You'd have missed the game, but Rangers did get the 4-0 win. We're going to start. I know Wilson's just arrived, and I kind of want to touch on this with everybody. But Celtic, the run of is it 35 games or 25? What was it?
I really took an interest, to be totally honest.
I think it's 35, but the run of 35 cup games in a row is over. A 2-0 defeat at home to Ross County. I want to start off with Andy first. How massive a shock was that result, and what was your overall takeaways in that performance?
It was huge, especially after midweek. I thought after the result in Europe there would be a big reaction, but they actually seemed worse, to be fair. It was you've got to credit Ross County, I suppose, for their performance as well, because they've still got everything right, but it just seems so flat. I watched the game and they just had nothing. It was as if it looked to me as though they had gave up, whether it's a subconscious or. But no, it was as flat a Celtic performance as I've seen for a long, long time, and it doesn't look good for them. It really doesn't.
Mm-hmm. Wilson, you've said it, Faye. I was delighted to welcome you onto the show after the Old Firm game, and your kind of reign of terror started in this show, and you've said it all from the start. But what was that today, for Celtic, and what do you do?
I've been getting barrel loads of text messages, tweets, etc. And again, I'm going to just nip back to a point that we were on with Mark and Scott McLaughlin. And I mentioned a few weeks ago on that show about players deliberately going out and not trying for the manager. And to be fair, obviously experienced pros like Mark and Scott shot me down in flames at the mere suggestion of that. But if Mark's not got too much on, I would like him to watch that 90 minutes back of the Celtic performance today and tell me that 11 of those players were trying today for that manager, for that club, for that team, whatever you want to call it, because it was nothing short of disgraceful, their performance they put in. And I'm telling you, and as I say, Andy and Mark might shoot me down in flames again, but there was players are going out deliberately not trying for that manager. And I don't think that's a one-off. I think that's quite a common thing in professional football, if I'm honest. For example, I'll give you another example. From the World Cup, Paul Pogba was the best player in the world. Did he ever display that in a Man United years under Jose Mourinho? Absolutely not. So that, for me, is the player going out and not trying for the manager. Now, I appreciate you don't like everyone in football. There's guys in the dressing room, there's managers you don't like. But never once would I think for a minute that a whole team would go out and perform the way they did. Basically, in my opinion, to get rid of that manager.
Shankers, respond to that.
I think the fact that if somebody suggests that the whole team isn't trying for the manager, I think that's. I'm not saying it's wrong, but in my opinion, I don't think the players would deliberately go out there to no try for the manager. Of course, when the way they're playing in that isn't good enough, but I don't think, and Andy's been in front of the dressing rooms, nobody would get, no manager, matter whether you hate the manager or whatever, I don't think, it's just for me, like, I want to win every game, so even if I don't like the manager and he's not playing me, if he threw me in, I would still want to win the game for myself and my team, and never mind the manager kind of thing, and try and almost prove a point to him if you're at the team. So I don't think anybody would go there and no try for the manager. Of course, things aren't working, they're not playing well, no scoring goals, no keeping clean sheets, etc. But I don't think anybody would go there and deliberately perform like that to get rid of the manager.
Right, well, I know we enjoy a bit of to and fro on here and what about it, etc. All right, and I know you're a very young man, Matt, but did you think at the time that the entire Rangers dressing room were doing that to Paul Le Guen? Or was it Paul Le Guen's treatment of Barry Ferguson that made them side with Barry Ferguson as a teammate? Because in that era, you can't tell me that those 11 Rangers players were out trying for Paul Le Guen.
Can I just plug something? Check out my interview with Gavin Ray and you'll get the answer to that question.
Right, okay.
There's that much happened at Rangers since then. I can't. Paul Le Guen.
I know you're a very young man.
You've touched on that, and I just want to kind of say a couple of things before, and I'll bring Andy in this as well. If Neil Lennon comes out at the end of the game and says one of these two things, Barkas didn't have anything to do, which is ridiculous to say that, and also apart for the goals, Celtic played pretty well. Explain to me, and now I'm not saying that Neil Lennon should lose his job or anything like that. I'm not a fan of managers losing his job, and I want to bring Andy in this as well, because Andy, you're assistant manager at East Stirling, and I want to get your kind of input in this side of the argument. But it looks to me like he's run out of ideas, and we've said that 3 weeks ago. He ran out of ideas, and He's changed it again. It hasn't worked. What else can he do? Now, Andy, I want to just kind of touch on this with you. Like, do you have any kind of sympathy for Neil Lennon? Obviously, be kind of sharing the from the managerial point of view, like.
I didn't really, to be honest, because he's took the credit early years that he deserved when he's done well, and it would be different if they were playing great football, as you're saying. They were getting unlucky. It was a break that was beating them, but they've looked really, really poor in the last few games. And I think today they're at home to Ross County, and he's basically played 4 centre halves.
Yeah.
He's played 3 centre halves and another centre half at right back at home to Ross County. To me, that you can't do that as a manager of Celtic or a club that size. They should have enough. And I think I was sitting watching the game, and I looked at the stats. There was maybe about 20 minutes to go, and Celtic had 2 shots on target, and Ross County had 5.
Yeah.
So it's. I think he's raced his run, to be fair. It looks to me as though he's run out of ideas. And going back to whether players are deliberately not trying for him, I'm not sure not trying for the manager as a collective is the issue. But I think the higher you get up in the levels of football, I think agents become a problem. And I think boys like Edward and the boys who wanted away in the summer, I think that's more the issue rather than them wanting rid of Lennon. I think they've got a problem that they never got their moves in the summer. And I think mentally there's 3 or 4 there that didn't want to be there, and that's been an issue for them, I think.
But three, I agree, but 3 or 4 don't make a team. Now, you're not telling me 36-year-old Scott Brown's needing a move. And you saw his penalty gave away against Hibs. You saw his pathetic attempt at marking today and in midweek against Sparta Prague. Now, you're not telling me he hasn't fell out with a manager and he's trying his best.
I don't think he's
been
to be fair, they're playing him too much.
But I think that's the issue with Scott Brown. I've got sympathy for him more than Lennon, because I'm at an age where Scott Brown's at, and I couldn't play the amount of games he's playing.
I was astounded he was in the team today. Absolutely astounded.
So was I.
And if a 36-year-old East Stirlingshire player comes to you and says, can you tell the gaffer I can maybe play only 1 out of 3 games? Do you go to the gaffer and say, I'll just play him every game? Scott Brown must be having those conversations.
He should be.
From international duty.
He should be. But it looks to me as though he's running on empty. Scott Brown. Yeah, I don't think he's the big problem, to be fair. And I think there's worse problems in him at Celtic than to be honest.
Nicky Hammond, that's the biggest problem.
Do we think it is that? Now, I want to just touch on something else. The second goal goes in, and the camera cuts to Neil Lennon sitting with Gavin Strachan, and they're on a laptop. Now,
they're playing Football Manager with Eddie Malone.
Now, we've listened to things over the past week about what's going on behind the scenes, and as the coaching staff behind them, what on earth are they looking at in a laptop at 2-0?
I've no idea.
When they're looking at a laptop when the full game is right there in front of them,
I've no idea. That's what they're looking at.
Dissect that after the game and worry about. And somebody on the pitch knows that it was their man. I mean, like, they shouldn't have to be looking at a laptop when the pitch is right there in front of you. You know what I mean?
If we had conceded the goals that they conceded today, the laptop would have been smashed. You could have a look at it. It would have been smashed.
It just looked. It was flat. It was Thursday night. They went 1-0 up. Edward get the goal. After that, it was the same mistakes. The same problems. Sunday, today, we've seen just the exact same thing. Now, 2 out of 10 wins for a Celtic or Rangers manager, to me, is absolutely ridiculous. Now, John Barnes, Tony Mowbray, Paul Le Guen, Pedro Caixinha, Mark Warburton, all suffered because of the similar statistics.
What you have to look at is the false sense of security, because we need to stop kidding on that Lennon was a success the first time around. When Lennon was the manager the first time around, he couldn't win a treble without Rangers being in the league. He lost semi-finals to Ross County. He never won a treble. Okay, we had Braga, Utrecht, Sion. Okay, and a goal from Tony Watt against Barcelona saved his skin in the Champions League and made him this heraldic figure that he's dear to. from his playing days, I can totally accept why he's
Definitely
held
from his playing
in high esteem. But let's not kid ourselves. This is complete and utter mismanagement from the club, from going from a Brendan Rodgers to Neil Lennon. Now, if Neil Lennon was the St Mirren or Hamilton, Kilmarnock, St Johnstone manager, and he won 2 out of 10, he'd be shown the door.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the nature of the beast.
But here's my next question. I forget the inevitable news about if Neil Lennon is replaced. Andy, I want to ask you this question because obviously, if you had played for Celtic at a high level, like you were a Henrik Larsson, a Paul Lambert, let's just use that as an example, a Martin O'Neill. You've had that legendary time at the club. Do you want to go in there in that situation as a manager and potentially fail in the biggest task in the club's history? Does that put you off joining the club? Because that's thinking with certain managers.
It is a difficult one, but to be honest, if I was a Larsson or somebody like that, especially Larsson, who's maybe not had the high-profile jobs out with his own country, the bottom line is if they win 2 very winnable games in hand, there's only 5 points in it.
Yeah, exactly.
So if I'm looking at it as him, I'm thinking to myself, there's a high chance, win a couple of fun games, they could still win the league. So, is it a risk? Potentially, but it's a big job to knock back for somebody like that. It's a big job to knock back.
Mm-hmm.
Well, again, you're touching on figures like Larsson, Lambert, etc. Ali McCoist did it, and look at the way he was treated.
Mm-hmm.
Now, not necessarily from the... And this is the point I was trying to make to folk today. When Ali McCoist, now we all know how good he was, one of my favourite all-time Scotland players, fantastic. He knew he was risking his legacy there. Mm-hmm. Now, I think he was mistreated by the club, and I think there was a split in the fans. Mm-hmm. At the moment at Celtic, there's no split there. 100% Celtic fans 1-0 in and out. So his UEFA Cup run, his trebles, his whatever, it's gone now. It is completely and utterly gone. Whereas Rangers fans will look back, and now the majority, I mean, if Ali McCoist went on to be the Real Madrid manager and won 10 Champions Leagues, Rangers fans, I would have backed him. I thought he was brilliant. I still think Rangers fans would be split if you asked them about McCoist's reign and what he did. And there's a whole generation obviously didn't know he scored X amount of goals. But never, and as I say, I've seen in hundreds and hundreds of managers sacked. I have never seen 100% of a support want a manager sacked.
What do you think of the things tonight about the fans away?
It's absolutely moronic. It's
ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I totally understand fans.
It's not even moronic in terms of. I feel for the police officers. We're in the middle of a pandemic and a tier 4 situation, and so you've got all that political side of it, right? But even at that, what are they thinking? What are they absolutely thinking? Fair enough, have a demonstration, boo the manager if they're at the game or outside the gates, okay. But honestly, if you've seen the footage, it's barbaric. It really is. It's disgusting. That's all.
See, when you look at it like that, like I've no way to put it into what Rangers have been through in that, but like if you flip it, like nothing like that ever happened. There was confrontations with the manager at a European game away where he lost to, I don't even know what team it was. They lost and they were knocked out in the first qualifying round. Like, but I don't think anything would come to a head like that. You know what I mean? And that was normal times, let alone these kind of times. It is crazy, but I think it's the only way they feel they can get their point across because they're not in the stadium like at the game. If they're in the stadium, then they're shouting the points across. But I don't know. What? See if you're Lennon and you're sitting in the stadium getting dressed or getting something to eat or whatever, and you know that's outside. What's going through your head? You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, the only solace is Mark's highlighting the troubled times the Rangers supporters have went through. At least they'll not be attacking the Glasgow Hilton Doubletree Hotel at the Player of the Year Awards. You know, that must have been those Chelsea fans again doing that, and not Rangers, because they've never done anything wrong, they fans, the last 8 years. You know, or the banner at Murray Park. You know,
I don't remember all they bad
things. Of course you don't. Of course you don't. Just a young man.
But what
see, touching on the Celtic game, Andy said, why does they play 3-5-2, right? See, and it's 3-5-2, so it's supposedly wing backs. Why are they 5 defenders and Scott Brown started in that game at home to Ross County the other day? Like, Scott Brown doesn't need to play that game. No matter how many games,
No.
whether he was fresh as paint, whether he's 25, see the type of player he is. He doesn't need to play in that game because it's no like where you need to go and grind out a 1-0. Like,
We've made the same points with each other about Rangers playing 2 holding midfielders away to Livingston. Do you know what I mean? It's that similar thing. You're home to Ross County.
Like,
you attack.
Their widths for Laxalt and El Hamid or whatever. Like, they're not, Laxalt might be a bit creative, but that El Hamid's a kind of defensive-minded player. See, I know Wilson's not a fan of Frimpong, but surely he's a better option in that type of game going forward, because the amount of possession that they've got on the ball with the width, it probably would be James Forrest if he was fit. But with the wing backs, they're probably going to have the ball more than anybody in that situation in the game today. So I don't get why it's 5 defenders and Scott Brown, ultimately 6 defensive-minded players playing outfield. I don't
To be
get
fair,
that.
if I was playing with those 3 centre halves, I would be playing 3 defensive midfielders to protect them. And I'm quite sure if Andy was offered Frimpong on loan, he would say no thanks. That's for sure.
Frimpong or Willie Lyle, Andy, who would you do?
Willie Lyle all day. Willie Lyle all day.
Oh, Wilbur.
But I'm just going to ask you all, is this the end of the road for Neil Lennon? Wilson?
Yes. 100. It should be the end after the Old Firm game. You could see it coming. The performance and the body language and attitude at the Old Firm game, he should have been out the door that night and saved this carry on.
Andy, what do you think? Do you think this is that?
I think it's got to be. My argument for them keeping him, or the board's argument was, I think the next 4 or 5 fixtures are at home against bottom half sides, but that shows the day that they're not guaranteed to win at home against bottom half sides. So I think he's had his chance. Aye.
Shankers, is that?
I'm not arguing his case as a fan of it. Weeks ago I was like, if they win their game in hand, it's 3 points. Now if they win their game in hand, it's 5 points. Now it's stretched. After the defeat in midweek, Europe's over, and then you're looking on to the weekend. You've got a chance to beat Ross County and get into progress into cup quarterfinals. That's away. The 4 out of the next 5 games are very winnable at home. I think if Lennon stays and goes and wins them, then there's momentum, but it's also a perfect time to get a new manager in, I think, because if you get a new manager in, there's a wee bit of a lift there. He goes and wins. The next 5 league games are all winnable. So if he goes and wins A5, and then you've got a wee bit of momentum going into the game at Ibrox away. So it is a good time to change manager, but God, I honestly don't know. Who would want to take that job, with all that pressure? You're almost in trial for 6 months, because if you don't win the league, you're away. After 6 months, you almost need to win the league. So there's so much at stake. I don't know. I don't know where they'll look to be honest. But I think his time is up.
It's a situation I'm sure we'll be following all over the week, and it's crazy. I've never seen anything like it. We'll move on to our special guest, Andy Rodgers. Andy, it's a pleasure to have you on the show, mate. Thanks very much for joining us.
Not a problem.
Obviously, just talk to you a bit about your career. You started off at Falkirk. Just talk about your days there. Like, what was the memories of that time?
No, that was brilliant. I'm a Falkirk boy, so I was a season ticket holder at Falkirk till I was 15, and then I signed there when I was 16, 2-year YTS. That was basically dream come true stuff. I scored on my debut, we won the league. It was brilliant. I enjoyed it massively.
Brilliant. And we move on to like kind of spells at East Stirling, Dumbarton and Peterhead, like Montrose as well. Just what was your kind of favourite times of your career? Like, what was the memories?
See, to be honest, I've honestly enjoyed barring a year spell at Montrose, maybe, where it was difficult. I've enjoyed almost every club I've been at. I've been lucky enough to play for some great clubs who looked after you. I would say Peterhead as a football club was unbelievable. I think maybe it's because you do the travel or whatever, but it was just a club that really, really looked after you well. Had a great year at Ayr, and then obviously Stirling. I've had a couple of spells there, and another club that's been really, really good to me. And I've been fortunate, as I say, I've been really fortunate. I've not had any serious injuries, which always helps. probably why I'm still able to just about kick about the net at 37. So no, it's been great the whole time.
And your days at Ayr as well, I just want to touch on them quickly. Like, what was we had a few of your old teammates on, and obviously you came across Shankers at Ayr. Like, who were the characters in that team, and what were the kind of memories for there?
See, to be fair, it was probably one of the craziest dressing rooms I've ever been in. But I was only there the one season, but fortunately enough, it was the season we got promotion through the playoffs, and like we had a really experienced dressing room. Obviously, I've had Scotty on, Moff, Marco, Trouts, Dean Keenan. I think everybody knows about Dean Keenan. But
would I like him on tonight?
Oh, he'll be lying under the covers somewhere. He'll be unavailable tonight, that's for sure. But no, we were. It was a right good dressing room, and we were probably fortunate because we needed that experience because it was a difficult. We had Livingston who were full time, so it was a tough season, and we managed to scrape through in the playoffs. But no, it was you can imagine there was a few stories for that.
What was the best? What's the best story you can tell us about that time?
There was one of the coaches. Well, we don't be a coach, but Malky Boyle. Boys used to give Malky a wee bit of stick because he used to help out with the kit as well. And with a younger boy Ali Woodburn, and Woody used to try and give him. Woody used to get roped in with experienced boys. We could kind of make Woody do stuff, if you know what I mean, that he probably shouldn't have done. And he used to give Malky a wee bit of stick about being a kit man and not a coach. So the darts were on at the SECC, and Woody had tickets for the darts. So we were like, acting, you need to do something with your sign. It has to be about Malky. So we were sitting in the house on the Thursday night after training, and sure as hell, Woody comes up on the screen with a sign for the darts saying, "You're just a kit man, Boyle." It's called in. They actually released him. Brian's released him, and we're like that. Me and Marco, and he got released because of that. That was part of the reason. And we're like, "Fuck, that was us, man. We were
killed him." Oh, no.
We've actually killed the boy. But no, that was the kind of thing. Like, I was the same. When you're a young boy, you can get roped in and maybe go early score. But in fairness, it was just a bit of banter. But I don't think Big Reedy took banter too well, didn't they?
I remember when we were training we used to train at Peter's House Park once, and I was just young. There must have been a game there was a game in the Monday or something. No, maybe the Sunday, and when was it the train? Monday, Wednesday,
I
think it was. There was a game the Sunday, whatever, and it was like boys who hadn't played were doing full training, and like same off and that were just doing light stuff, and somebody cut the toes out his socks. So when back in, and he's put them right up to his thigh, and he wouldn't let him leave the dressing room until they found out who it was. And it must have been Moff or somebody like that. And I think he had to find a couple of weeks' wages or something like that for it. So he obviously didn't like things like that.
It wasn't great. It was a bit serious, Big Reedy, to be fair. Scotty McKenzie, the assistant, was alright. You could get a wee goal with Scotty, but Reedy was he wasn't. He just liked getting training games up the road, but that wasn't going to happen in our dressing room.
Brilliant. Marco as well. Like, we've obviously everybody on here's got their Marco stories, but what's your favourite?
My favourite Marco stuff is just some of his random like football Tourette shouts. He was so he couldn't control himself. So we'd be at training. We had a goalkeeper, the boy Davy Crawford. He played in goals half the season before Alan Martin came in, and for some reason, every night in training, Davy would just make saves with his feet. Yeah, it didn't matter if you could bend a shot and it'd be going in the top corner, and he'd try and kick it out. Rather than put it in. And I could just every Monday night, I just remember Marco was just shouting at Croc, "Use your fucking horns!" And then we played Dumbarton. We played Steny, one day, and wee Stevie Murray was playing for Steny. It was tricky, wee Stevie, wee winger, and he was playing against Big Junior, Big Chris Smith, and it gave Big Junior the runaround, to be fair, for about an hour. And it was probably one of our worst performances. It was a Tuesday night at Steny. We got horsed 3-1, and with about half an hour to go, I remember I was playing up top with Marco, and he was standing on the centre circle as Stevie Murray's doing keep you up. He's on the corner flag, turned round to the dugout, and he's shouting to Big Reedy, "Take him fucking off!" And the whole place was silent. And I was like, "Marco, you need to calm down, man." But it was just, we had a few. Ryan McCann was the same. We used to train at a school. I can't remember what the school was. We used to train at a school in here on a Wednesday night. And Kanzo would just pick the ball up and just launch it at the fence. Just in the middle of the training game. Just grab the ball with his hands, kick it at the fence and just walk off training. That's a kind. They were all fucking experienced boys. So Marco was you couldn't really control Marco, to be fair.
No. Wilson, you anything to add? Anything to ask about?
He's actually just been in touch, Andy. And he's given you one compliment. He wants me to ask you about a goal against Sunnybank in the Scottish
Sunnybank,
Cup.
Aye, it was one of my better ones, to be fair. I think we won about 5-0 or something. I scored an overhead kick late on in the game. And to be fair, I think I had been absolutely hopeless. I always remember Marco saying to me when I scored, obviously it was quite a good goal, and when I scored, I just remember when the boys were celebrating, actually one of their centre halves actually like shook my hand when I scored the goal, and then our boys came in, and I can just always remember Marco saying, "Are you going to fucking smile?" I was like, I've been hopeless on it. I was shocking. I had an absolute nuke, and then scored that. It was a decent goal, to be fair, but I remember him telling me to smile after it. I just remember thinking to myself, I can't smile after this performance, honestly, can I?
And he's also asked if you still have your Nike trainers.
See, to be fair, Marco will tell you, I have possibly got the worst gear in football history. And he also will tell you, you could not give me a red neck for it, because
I wouldn't put the words that he's put after that, but he's asked about the trainers. But
the first night I went into here, I think somebody tried to give me a bit of stick for it, and Marco pulled him up instantly. He says, "No point in trying to slag that boy for his clothes or his gear," he says, "because it will not affect him one bit." He says it's always going to be horrific.
So Andy, you're now finishing up your playing days at East Stirling. You're now in there as assistant manager. Like, what's that like? Kind of obviously getting into coaching, and obviously East Stirling came down for the SPFL now in the Lowland League. Like, what's the expectations with them? Like, just to get straight as up as soon as possible.
I actually signed again for the first season after they got relegated. I'd left Peterhead and I'd went back to East Stirling. So that's been 3 years now. This is the 4th season, and the expectation, look, we need to get back in as quick as we can, but unfortunately every year it gets more difficult because there's a lot more teams looking at the same. I think everybody got encouraged by Edinburgh City, then Cove. So they're the latest two who have came up, and to be fair, they're both punching well above their weight now and pushing on further. So I think the gap between League 2 and the Lowland/Highland League isn't where it used to be. In fact, I'm not even sure there is a gap. I think maybe the top 5 or 6 in our league would probably compete quite comfortably at League 2 level. But I'm enjoying it. Look, coaching was always something I was interested in, and we got the chance. Me and my mate Del Ure, once the previous gaffer left, they asked us to take care in the short term, and it went all right. And we've been there for about 18 months now. So I'm really enjoying it. It's got different frustrations for playing, but no, I'm loving it. It's good.
See with the thing with Cove Rangers, it's easy to go and get promoted if you've basically got a free budget to go and get players that should be playing it in the SPL or Championship. You know what I mean?
Aye, didn't get me wrong. Cove have probably spent well more than a lot of teams in League 2, but I don't think Edinburgh City did, to be fair to them.
They
came up at a sort of level playing field, and look, it's hard. The finances one's difficult because I think there's a lot of teams in League 2 plead poverty, but it's not really the case. I know there's a lot of clubs spending a wee bit more money than they let on, and they like to go into media and say, "Oh, but these teams are Celtic, Hearts, East Kilbride, ourselves. We always get branded as are spending big money, but we're not spending any more money than anybody else, really." Cove may be slightly different, but you find the North of Scotland teams, Peterhead were the same. You've got to spend a bit more because you need to attract the player to the north of the country.
The Lowland League in that is obviously made attractive now because see the types of players that are coming for like Championship, League One, like they're not even. They're no like trying to get a club run about their own level. If they get released or leave, they're coming like straight down to their teams because they can they're just as good as what the teams in the League 1 and League 2 is.
That's it. And I think when boys go from full time to part time, a lot of boys you look for the best wage you can get as well as the best level of football. Do you know what I mean? The boys have got families, and if there's clubs at your level are paying a decent wage, and it becomes attractive, and it helps now that the league is competitive. The first couple of years, there was probably ourselves and East Kilbride, potentially Spartans at times, and out with they three, you were winning games 6 and 7-0, and it was a bit false. But now you've not got that anymore. There's 7 or 8 teams who could win our league, and there's another 4 or 5 who are half decent. So it's good. It's a really competitive league, and it's getting better every year. Obviously, the West of Scotland teams are now coming in as well.
Definitely.
So it's going to be even more difficult.
Aye. So what's the kind of plans now? Is it just play for as long as you can, like?
Look, to be honest, as the same when I left Peterhead, I was maybe 33, and I genuinely thought I was a bit done. I got a knee operation, and to be fair to Peterhead again, they looked after me. They sorted that out. They gave me a deal, although I wasn't fit, and told me that I could have another year there, but I probably wouldn't play. They were just basically looking after me financially because I had sort of played for half a season injured for them. But then I got the chance to go back to East Stirling, and to be honest, I didn't know if I had another year or two left in me, but luckily enough, I think maybe playing every week again has probably helped me get fitness back, and I still feel not too bad. But the coaching side, it helps because it takes a bit of pressure off me. If I am struggling, I feel as though I'm still part of it. Like I've still got something else to give, if you know what I mean. So it's good.
Brilliant. I just want to touch on a couple of questions I've been asked to ask you. First from Jamie Dishington. Why do you always wear Under Armour gloves in May?
That started about 2 years ago. I think we played a game December, January time. I think we won 3 or 4-0. I think I scored a hat-trick. And I said, right, well, I'll wear the gloves next week. It wasn't quite as cold. And I ended up going there. I scored 9 games in a row. And I wore the gloves every week. So I got to the stage where I thought, right, I'm not taking these gloves off. But by the time the run of games that I'd scored in, it was like April. And it was like 20 degrees. And I'm running about with gloves on. So, but it was just one of the just stupid superstitions where I didn't want to take them off. So,
final question as well. Paul Ronald asks, is it true that you had Victor Meldrew in speed dial? What's that all about?
I don't know where that was. I noticed that one this morning. I don't know what Big Ronaldo's getting it there, actually, to be fair. I was trying to work that out, but I can't work out what you would need to explain that one for me.
Brilliant. But it's thoroughly enjoyed. I've thoroughly enjoyed having you on the show. It's a pleasure. Wilson, I just want to ask you as well, obviously you've got a couple of wee talking points you want to touch on. Just firstly about amateur football, just to talk to us a bit about what's happening there.
It's again, I know Stuart Urquhart, the Amateur Association President, has been trying to obviously speak to the government about getting amateur football, guys back playing amateur football. Now, I can understand if restrictions, etc., don't allow this, but is there any difference to, apart from possibly personnel, junior football being played at grounds in and around the country, and amateur, places to play football, you still see folk out walking their dogs, and that's tend to be the folk that watch amateur football. So we don't kind of understand why amateur football can't come back, yet the juniors can. I appreciate professional sport in terms of money, etc. But
the juniors is professional now, it says.
Well, I watched Talbot a couple of times. I don't just know it's quite there yet, to be honest.
That's because Wally was playing.
So it was just, and I know there's been a lot of amateur teams on social media trying to get kind of definitive answers at why they can't be allowed. In between kind of lockdowns and things, where we're driving up in their cars, we're washing our hands 2 metres apart, doing our training, then all of a sudden it just completely stops and we're not allowed. So we've done like kind of 6 weeks of pre-season and then stop again, and now we're just told we can't do anything. And it's, as I say, we're looking for a definitive answer.
Do you think it is because they can't control who comes to the games? Do you think that there's obviously 90% of games are played in public parks? Is that the reason? Do you think they can't?
See, like folk that would come to pay to come to your game. If they know that there's a game on at a public park, they don't need to pay, and it's local.
Aye,
they're going to probably go and watch that for their football fix. So they're maybe thinking about it that way. And then there's no mass gatherings, but there's gatherings of people there and that. I might be looking at it that way. I thought it would be easier to get amateur football playing because the likes of we need an income to pay players' wages and that, and whereas amateur you don't need that, but it's obviously like they control who's at the game and whatnot.
And that's fine. And then most folk tend to be sensible. They'll wear a mask or whatever they need to do, stand 2 metres apart. Do you see folks standing 2 metres apart in the supermarkets these days?
No, I totally agree. Yeah.
And it's not the case of just bring all sport, all football back, blah blah blah. The point I'm trying to make is that this is an outlet for a lot of people, you know, and there's the demographic of mental health issues between guys that, you know, 17, 18 years old up to 40 is very high, and they need to be doing something. Mm-hmm. You know, I can appreciate if they don't want us to do non-contact training, but it makes a mockery of the whole thing, and no difference in between the juniors and the amateurs, you know. But as I say, I just want to highlight it on the show because I know the SAFA president and secretary have been looking for answers, and we don't seem to have any.
I think the SFA and all the governing bodies are struggling with, to be honest, because the rules seem to be changing too much. I know, for example, during pre-season, we had a boy test positive. One of our players tested positive, and the NHS in Forth Valley told us, everybody that was at training on a Tuesday night, to self-isolate for 14 days. Now, we had followed every protocol that the SFA, that the government, that everybody had set in place for us. Yeah. Yet we were still to self-isolate. Although we hadn't been indoors, we had washed our hands, we had stayed 2 metres apart until we were on the pitch, we had worn masks before we trained. And it actually took the boy Jason Leach, that's advising the government quite a bit, he actually fought our case, and after 6 days, NHS Forth Valley then got back in touch with us and told us we didn't need to isolate any longer. So I think that, and that's we've got a decent setup, we've got people looking after us. So I think the amateurs, I don't know if it's because I think people are going to struggle to follow the protocols, to keep everything in place, but I help my kids, I run my kids' football team, he plays for Stennismuir, under 14s, and the part on people being at the sides of the park, parents have gone to all kids' games. At every single kids' game I've been at, there's been parents at the sides of the park, granted maybe 10 metres back for the touchline rather than standing right in the touchline. And we've been told referees, whatever league officials, will abandon games if this is happening. It's not happened once. Every single game.
I'm the same. I help with my kids' team as well. And the Ayrshire guys are no down at Cali Parks at Prestwick Airport. Yeah. So rather than being standing at the side of the pitch, we're just standing at the fence watching it. It makes absolutely no difference none whatsoever.
None whatsoever. So I don't know why the amateurs should be any different, as you say.
As I say, it's not because it's the best thing in the world, but it's for guys' mental health. That's what I'm trying to get guys out playing, you know.
100%. But it's something that
see if they're not playing for 6 months and all, guys that are coming to the end of football and whatnot, they're just going to go, oh well, but this, I'm not going to play. You know what I mean?
It's something that needs to be addressed as quickly as possible, and I'm glad we've touched on it here. I just want to touch on a quick question for Stephen Nichol, just asked a fan question. We spoke on this last week about Rangers accounts. I'll ask Shankers this. Which Rangers players can you see leaving at the end of the season?
I think it's inevitable that players will leave. I think because of what's at stake this season, that's probably one of the main reasons why those players been kept. The likes of your players that are in form. Barisic's probably one that sticks out for me, that there'll be teams sought after. I mean, they could go and fit in. I mean, before Man United signed the boy Tellez, for me, he could go and play there. You don't need to be a good defender nowadays to play fullback. That's more attacking. Let's see, make his face it.
Barisic at Man United.
He's a Croatian first choice left back international. It's just your agenda against Rangers. It stops you.
He's not good enough for Man United.
What?
He's not good enough.
You don't think? Oh well. That's fine.
Surely Rangers will have to capitalise on the 50 million valuation of Connor Goldson. That couldn't hit a barn door with a banjo last season, but now he's worth 50 million. So they'd be daft not to cash in on him, along with the 80 million for Alfredo and the 45 million for Katic. I mean, they'll be
to be fair, I think Golston goes up 10 million every time Shane Duffy plays though. I think that's the problem there.
See if you're not going to come on and be serious, Wilson. So I'm sure Scott can stop that from happening.
I can't wait to see Barisic oust Luke Shaw and telly. That'll be smashing.
Did David oust Luke Shaw?
Barisic could go and play at a top club comfortably.
I think he could as well.
He's a Croatian left back international, so he could go and do that in Ebola. No,
Oliver McBurney's international. Doesn't make a good player.
He's for Scotland.
Talking about the Premiership though.
Behave yourself. He's only going to get better playing with better players.
No, he is a good player. I'm only being. What age is he? I think
he's 27.
He is. The only thing that about it is he is probably like 28, 29. So Rangers are probably getting him at his peak right now. So
I was only kidding on that. He is a very good player. He's a very good player.
I'll be getting your address after this anyway.
We'll touch.
Up to Parkhead. I'm getting him back up.
Brilliant. We'll touch on quickly our new idea between the three was the SFS League, where we decided to form a league where we could keep a track of results and our predictions over the week. Now, we asked Andy to get involved in this, and I hope, Andy, you'll continue to do so, because you'll need to seriously come back for this disaster.
To be fair, I need to continue today to make amends for this week. That was a shocker.
To be fair, Wilson chose Falkirk today, so Wilson's in 8 points. So Wilson's actually the lowest out of the four of us. So
I took Falkirk in support of Andy. I knew Andy was from there, so I thought I'd better give Andy something.
Even I wasn't that stupid.
But I just want to touch on our results quickly. Craig Mahood leads the league in 14 points. I'll break down the full run in tomorrow on Twitter. So for everybody, for Twitter and Facebook, so everybody that wants to see their score, please check out the social media tomorrow. Shankers, you're in 12. You're the top of the league out of us four. That's very good for you.
No bad. What was it we said again? £50 ahead for whoever wins. Us three, whoever's top at the three
it's coming out of the money Wilson makes for these guardrail that he's going to get signed in New Land.
I'm going to pay for a police van's window tonight.
Brilliant.
Andy and me are both in 9. So we're actually not as bad as we thought. But Wilson, you're in 8.
Did anybody actually get like a score correct?
Yeah, Craig Mahood picked 2-1 to St Johnstone, so very good for Craig Mahood. Very good start. Please continue to join the SFS League. We'll be posting more details over the next few weeks or so, but this is something very exciting that I'm sure we're all eager to get further involved in. I'll just touch on a couple of things before we close up. Obviously, the big talking point's obviously Thursday night now in the Europa League. Celtic are out, but they go to the Italian champions at the San Siro. Wilson, do you take a fringe team? Do you give Scott Brown another game?
No, but just go in isolation for 2 weeks and just give them the points.
Do you think they'll just be?
Lambs to the slaughter. Lambs to the slaughter.
Jink will be a weak side. A weak side. Jink will be a.
No, well, from the usual 16, 17 players that he uses, but I would imagine AC Milan might play the under 16s or something, just to, get a result and get the rest of their players. Because
they need to try and get like a set team though. Like, do you think? I don't think the manager knows like his best 11. Like, if they lose 1 week, there's changes formation. Whereas there's teams that have got a set structure, set formation. They play that way all the time. Like, they've not got that, if you know what I mean.
He doesn't know that after 20 games, Matt.
I know that's obviously the worrying thing, but he needs to start. Well, I couldn't care less whether he does or no, but I'm just, if I was a Celtic fan, you would want him getting a set team, know your best team. If they're playing that formation, that's what they're doing all the time. You don't see that.
I think, to be honest, I thought his set team was the game that started the Old Firm game, and they were absolutely humiliated, and he panicked. He doesn't know what he's doing.
Edward and that wasn't playing that. Edward, Christie, Forrest.
But can I just ask as well, why if you're a goal down do you take off a defender and bring on Shane Duffy when you've got Klimala on the bench? Does that not just sum it up to you? Like, what was that all about?
It shows you two things. It shows you that he's lost it. He's completely clueless. Or it shows
Try
it's
to
one of
compose
these
myself.
ones. And as I say, Andy will start to use this now. I've told him. It sticks two fingers up at the board to say, I'm having to bring on him because I've nothing else. I'm short of players. I want more money to spend in January.
Klimala was there, £2 million.
Aye, but again, did he sign Klimala? Did he sign Barkas? Did he sign Duffy? This is where the issue lies.
Yeah.
Because
have they got a director of football in it?
Is it?
well, there's been this Nicky Hammond that come in and he's making the signings, allegedly.
He was the guy. He replaced Congleton,
Didn't
didn't he?
get that at all.
Congleton was Rodgers' man, and I think when obviously Rodgers left, I think Congleton went with him, so they brought in Nicky Hammond to be like transfer recruitment. I don't know his full title, but I would assume he's certainly got a massive...
Whoever's making the signings, whether it's Lennon or Hammond, should be sacked, and that's the bottom line. That's the bottom line, because they're no good enough.
I think it's that guy who's doing it on his laptop. He's looking at...
Aye.
And then another question, if Lennon was to leave tonight or tomorrow, did the coaching staff leave with him, Andy?
They have.
I think they need a clear out eye. I think they do. I think that's part of the problem when Lennon came in. I don't think he brought his own people in, did he?
What I heard, they wanted Gary Parker in and was told you're getting John Kennedy. That's what I was told.
Aye,
I don't know if that's true or not, but I would assume that was. I would believe it. I could believe it because I know
John Kennedy's obviously been promised a job for life, basically, because of his injury. That's the way I look at it.
That for me, I mean, everyone has sympathy with John Kennedy. There's no doubts about that. But that just makes a mockery of anyone coming in. It makes an absolute mockery of. So you're telling me, right, when Pochettino's announced on Monday, they come round and say, oh, by the way, Mauricio, see all those guys that go to the Champions League final with Spurs, you've got to take John Kennedy and Gavin Strachan. Get them out. Get them all out. Stevie Woods and the goalie coach.
I think he'll stay. I think Stevie Woods will stay.
He'll be playing next week if he doesn't get, if they don't get that figure out. Stevie Woods don't need to get his club.
If he's had anything to do with the signing of Barkas and getting rid of Craig Gordon, then he needs to go as well. Get him out and all. I would get rid of the kit man and all. They're too long.
Who should be the replacement kit man, Shankers?
Kerzo.
Brilliant, but that'll do us for this week. We'll be delighted to have Andy on. It was a pleasure to have you. Would you come back on?
100%, mate. Aye, not a problem.
Really enjoyed it. But thanks again to Wilson and Shankers for non-stop entertainment. Wilson,
Wilson,
we're
the big bucks for.
Aye, we're your alibi. Wilson, we're your alibi if anything comes up with you.
And the Joe Mackett that Andy Barrowman's promised me for the last 4 weeks.
You can't get your size.
We're talking about that, by the way.
Just drop one down for you and that'll be fine. It'll fit me.
Brilliant. Really enjoyed it. Thanks very much, everyone. We'll see you next week.
Take care, guys.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.